Hello, students. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I hope you all are okay. Students, today we are going to discuss a very important topic of English grammar clauses, its definition, types, main clause, and subordinate clause. First of all, it is very important to know about clauses, the definition of clauses. Okay? Clauses. Clauses, a group of words which forms a part of a sentence and contain a subject and a predicate. Clause. A clause is a group of words which forms a part of a sentence and contain a sentence contain a subject and a predicate. Example: she did not attend the school. She is a subject. Did not attend the school is here object. So it is a clause. Clauses are broadly divided into two types. First, main clause, and second, subordinate clause. Okay, students, you know very well about the definition of clauses, and these are of two types: main clause and subordinate clause. Next, beta, we will discuss about the main clause and the subordinate clause. Clauses, you know very well. First, it is main clause, and the second part of clause is subordinate clause. Clauses which are in black color, these are main clause, and which in blue color, that is a subordinate clause. Main clause. Main clause is an independent one which gives full meaning. Okay? A clause which is independent, it does not depend on the other part of sentence for its full meaning. And subordinate clause, a subordinate clause is a dependent clause. The another name of we can say that subordinate clause is a dependent clause. It does not give full meaning. It depends on the main clause for full meaning. See the next: subordinate clause and main clause. Let's see the examples of subordinate clause and main clause. After learning the examples, it will be clear that what is the difference between main clause and which part of a sentence is a main clause, and we will learn about the subordinate clause. As soon as he heard the news, he wrote the letter. Clause, part of a sentence which is in blue color, that is a subordinate clause. As soon as he heard the news, okay, and in black color, he wrote the letter, it is a main clause. He wrote the letter, it has its own subject and its predicate. It is not depend on the other clause for its meaning. It is giving full meaning its own. It has its own meaning. He wrote the letter. It has a complete sentence, and it has its own meaning. It is not depend on the another clause, another part of a sentence for its full meaning. Though, as soon as he heard the news, it is a subordinate clause, and it depends on the sentence he wrote the letter. So, as soon as he heard the news, he wrote the letter. As soon as he heard the news, this part of a sentence is depend on he wrote the letter. That's why it is depend on the another sentence, so it is a subordinate clause. Don't talk, do not talk while he is singing. Do not talk, it is a main clause. It has its own meaning, and it is not depend on while she is singing. Okay, so do not talk, it is a main clause while she is singing. Okay, it is a subordinate clause because while she is singing is depend on for its meaning do not talk. That's why it is a dependent clause, or you can say subordinate clause. Okay, it's need help for its meaning on the other part of a sentence. You can go when you finish it. You can go. It has its own meaning. It has a complete sense. So it is a main clause. Okay, on the other side, that is a part of a sentence which is in blue color. When you finish it. When you finish it. Okay, this is a subordinate clause. Okay, it's depend on you can go when you finish it. So when you finish it, it is depend on the sentence, part of a sentence, you can go. Come to the next. Unless I see it, I cannot buy it. Unless I see it. Okay, I cannot buy it. I cannot buy it. It is a main clause. Okay, unless I see it, it is a subordinate clause. Subordinate clause always start from linker, conjunction, or you can say connectors. Here, while, when, as soon as, make it underline, as soon as, while, when, unless, and come to the next sentence. Since I have no money, I cannot buy it. Since I have no money, I cannot buy it. Okay, here in the first sentence, as soon as, second sentence, while, third sentence, when, fourth sentence, unless, and the fifth sentence, since. These are conjunctions. Since I have no money, it is a subordinate clause because it is depend on I cannot buy it. Okay, that's why it is a dependent clause, which in blue color, that is a subordinate clause, and it is depend on a main clause for its meaning. Okay, it does not give complete or full meaning. Okay, while on the other hand, I cannot buy it, it is a dependent clause, it is independent clause. It does not depend on the blue part of the sentence for its meaning, which is a subordinate clause. Okay, though he is poor, he is honest. He is honest. It is, it has its complete meaning. It does not depend on the other part of a sentence. So he is honest. Okay, it is a main clause. Though he is poor, it is this part of a sentence, it is a subordinate clause. Okay, very much clear, beta. Now there is no problem. What is the difference between subordinate clause and main clause? Come to the another sentence also. Seventh sentence. I went out after the rain had stopped. After. Okay, it is subordinate clause always start the first word of the sentence. It is always start from a conjunction. Conjunction here is after is a conjunction. The after the rain had stopped, it is a subordinate clause. Okay, it is a dependent clause and it is depend on main clause. I went out, this is a main clause. Okay, on the other hand, after the rain had stopped, it is subordinate clause. Strike the iron while it is hot. While it is a hot, it is a subordinate clause, and strike the iron, that is a main clause. If you invite him, he will surely come. He will surely come, it is a main clause. If you invite him, यदि तुम उसको invite करते हो. Okay, conditional sentence is also here. Here is a condition and it start if is here conjunction. Okay, after, in the seventh sentence after, in eighth sentence while, and in ninth sentence if. These are here conjunctions. So in the blue color, the part of a sentence which is in a blue color, it is a subordinate clause, and in the blue black color, these are a main clause. Okay, come to the next sentence. 10th. As no sooner did he bell ring than I packed my bag. I packed my bag. It has its own subject and predicate. I, subject, packed my bag. It is a predicate. So, part of a sentence, yeah, that is its own subject and a predicate. It is a main clause. This is identification of main clause. I packed my bag. It is a main clause. On the other hand, no sooner did the bell ring than it is a subordinate clause because it depend on I packed my bag, okay, for its full meaning. That's why it is a subordinate clause. Okay, students, now it is a clear difference between subordinate clause and a main clause. Okay, come to the next point. It is very important to know the tense used in both the clauses, subordinate clause and main clause, should be same. Okay, let's see the example. Although I started early, I missed the train. Okay, firstly, you have to tell me that which part of a sentence is a subordinate clause and which part of a sentence is a main clause. Okay, so bache, we will learn I missed the train. It is a main clause. Okay, why it is a main clause? I is a here subject, miss the train here predicate. So it has its own predicate and subject, and it gives full meaning. Although I started early, okay, it, the part of a sentence which is in blue color, it is depend on I missed the train for its full meaning. That's why although I started early, it is a subordinate clause, and I missed the train, it is a main clause. Exceptions: if the main clause, you have to always remember this point, if the main clause is in the present or future tense. Okay, always remember, if the main clause is in the present or future tense, the subordinate clause may have any tense as required by the meaning. Okay, let's see the example. It will be more clear after learning the examples. We consider that she is there. She is there. The main clause is in present tense. She is there. Okay. And we consider that it may have any tense. Okay, in the subordinate clause, it is not compulsory that if the main clause is in present or future tense, then the subordinate clause also may have in the same tense. It is not compulsory. It may have any tense required by the meaning. So that's why we consider that she is there, that is a present tense. And come to the next, we will consider that she will be there. She will be there. It is a future tense. But and subordinate clause also in a future tense. We consider that she was there. She was there. She was there. It is in past tense. Main clause is in past tense, and subordinate clause we consider that it is may have any other tense as it is required by the meaning. Come to the next. Past tense is used when two past actions which took place one after the another also to be mentioned. Okay, bacha, if first action the first action is put in the past perfect, always remember, you have to learn this rule for the when you have to use the correct form of the verb, the first action is put in the past perfect, means had plus third form, and while the second action put in the past indefinite tense means second form. Here there are two examples. Come to the first. When the train had stopped. When the train had stopped, it is very useful to learn about the main clause and the subordinate clause, and it is very important when you have to use the correct form of the verb. Okay, the first action, the action which finish the first, which is done first, when the train had stopped. Okay, the action is put the first past perfect tense had plus third form. Here when the train had stopped, firstly it is a subordinate clause. We came out. We came out is the second action, so it always put in a second form, means past indefinite tense. We came out, it is a main clause, and it always come in, we always put second form the action which is second. Okay, the first action is put in past perfect tense, and the second action put in always simple past tense. Come to the next, it will be more clear after learning the second example. It is very important and it is very common example. When I reach the station. When I reach the station. Okay, the train had started. Okay, the action which is put first, the train had started. Okay, that's why it is put in a past perfect tense, had plus third form. The train had started. Okay, and the second action, when I reached the station. Okay, the train had started first, and the action, second action, I reached the train. Okay, you reach later, but the train had started first. Okay, very much clear, students. Come to the next. If the subordinate clause belong to an adverbial clause of time referring to the future time, then present indefinite tense is used. Okay, always remember the rules. First example, come to the first example. Please keep quiet. Okay, you always learn, you always also listen that in your classes. Please keep quiet till I finish my work. Okay, what is the condition? If the subordinate clause belong to an adverbial clause of time. Time is given here, adverbial clause. In the next video, we'll learn about the noun clause, adverb clause, and adjective clause. Here I am talking about the adverbial clauses of time referring to future time. Then the present indefinite tense is used. Okay, keep quiet till I finish my work. Okay, keep quiet is a subordinate clause and it is in a time clause is here. Time clause, time is given till I finish my work. Then come to the next example. She will assist us whenever she comes here. Whenever, jab bhi, means it is here clauses of time and referring to the future time. When then the present indefinite tense is used. Okay, present tense is used here. She will assist us. Okay, condition is referring to the future. She will assist us. And whenever she comes, it is a subordinate clause. For universal truths, the subordinate clause should be present tense. Always remember this, beta. When universal truth, when your sentence is in universal truth is there, the subordinate clause should be in present tense. Like example, it will be more clear after learning the example. There is example in front of you. Anu told that the sun rises in the east. The sun rises in the east. It is in present tense when universal truth is there. It is a universal truth. That's why subordinate clause should be in present tense. The sun rises in the east. Okay, it is a universal truth. It's time to do something. So, beta, it is activity for you. It is very important. Okay, it is also your home assignment. So, you have to do. Find out the main clause and the subordinate clauses in the given sentences. I had met a man who knows your uncle. Second, he was respected because he was good. Third, do it before you go home. Fourth, he drew his sword so that he can defend himself. Fifth, write it down lest you should forget. Okay, beta, it is very easy. You have to find out subordinate clause and main clause, okay, in the given sentences and send me in your homework group, beta. And you have to also write rule and regulations of subordinate clause, definition of clauses, its types, main clause and subordinate clauses in your fair notebook. Okay, beta. Thank you, students. Have a nice day.